Welcome back. Come with me as I explore the mysteries surrounding God's most faithful ministers, the admirable creatures we call the angels. The angels we examine today are the titans of God's creation, whose power in heaven and on earth is so tremendous that they are able to control the forces of nature. In our last episodes, we began to take an in-depth look at the 9 choirs of angels. Like a magnificent army, the angels are ranked, with their perfection varying according to their closeness to God. We found that the first hierarchy is composed of the Seraphim, the Cherubim, and the thrones. The second tier is formed of the Dominations, the virtues, and the powers. And the third, the Principalities, the Archangels, and the angels. Working our way up the 9 choirs, we'll continue to examine the middle tier of angels, which are the Dominations, powers, and virtues. These angels are traditionally called the angelic governors because they interact with the physical world on a broad scale to fulfill God's plans for the universe. They keep everything running smoothly, so to speak. Today, we'll put our magnifying glass on the choir of the virtues. The choir of virtues is, to humans, one of the most mysterious choirs of angels. Unlike the ordinary angels and the archangels, they don't have direct dealings with humans. And unlike some of the higher choirs, they don't exist solely to contemplate God. So, what are the virtues and what do they do? Their name, virtues, is associated with power and energy. It comes from the Latin virtus, meaning perfection, but also referring to excellence and courage. The duty of the virtues is to carry out the orders of the next highest choir, the Dominations. And the orders from the Dominations come from no one but God Himself. God, in His infinite wisdom, made the angels so that those of the higher choirs enlighten and illuminate the lower choirs to fulfill the mission that God gave them. This is a cascade or graces that descends from on high all the way down to the lowest form of creation. With those orders, the virtues run the physical universe and govern everything from the seasons and elements to the stars and planets and nature. This is absolutely phenomenal. And due to their strength, they have the special gift to execute a command perfectly, no matter how arduous or difficult it may be. So, it's most fitting to ask the help of the angelic choir of virtues in times of danger due to storms or other afflictions. But we can also ask them to help us carry out whatever duties that have been entrusted to us, especially arduous ones. The virtues are also sometimes called the agents of miracles and often referred to as the shining ones because of their sublime task. Now, I take you to a cold winter night in Bethlehem over 2,000 years ago. The newborn infant king lies swaddled in his mother's arms. Outside the stables, there is a good deal of excitement and anticipation in the air. On that same starry night, wise men from the east followed the light of the mysterious bright star on their journey to pay homage to the Christ child. This beautiful star, unlike any other, was formed by the angels to guide them on their way. And it is not unlikely that this star was formed by the choirs of virtues. The Star of Bethlehem is mentioned in Matthew's Gospel. He says that the star preceded the Magi until it came and stopped right over the place where Jesus was. As with anything miraculous, the star has been a subject of debate as a scientific phenomenon. The most popular scientific solutions to the star involve it being a comet, planetary conjunction, or a supernova. But these theories fail to take into account that ordinary stars, planets, and comets do not naturally move in ways that can lead a person to an exact location on Earth, not to mention a poor stable in Bethlehem. In fact, this star was behaving more like an angel, which leads Christian commentators and saints to say that the star was specially created and moved under angelic guidance, or perhaps it was an angel itself. Now I want to give you another famous example of how the virtues may have been involved in an incredible miracle. But first, let's examine the fascinating way the virtues have charge over such a wide dominion. After all, just a few choirs down, a guardian angel has charge only over one soul. But in his wisdom, God gave each of the heavenly bodies, such as the planets, an angel to prevent disorder among them and keep them from causing calamity. That's where the virtues come in. The number of angels is beyond our grasp. Our imaginations cannot fathom how many there are. Now for another story. It's possible that the virtues played a part in the Christian victory at the Battle of Lepanto. The Battle of Lepanto on October 7, 1571, was a crucial conflict between the defending Christians and the invading Ottoman Turks, and one of the greatest naval battles of all time. The Christian lands around Greece and the eastern Mediterranean were constantly getting attacked and plundered by Muslim pirates, and Ottoman warships were capturing Christian ships and enslaving vast number of sailors and civilians alike. Pope St. Pius V raised a crusade and asked every non-combatant across the whole Christian world to pray the rosary. Even after this call to arms, the Christian fleet at Lepanto was greatly outnumbered by the Ottoman Turks. By 9 o'clock, the two lines were 15 miles apart and closing fast. Just before contact was made, the wind that had been favoring the Turks shifted around to the opposite direction to favor the Christians, and this is the part of our story that the virtues may have played a part in, shifting the wind. While one may say this is mere natural phenomenon, nothing happens by coincidence, and if the virtues are responsible for the weather, it is entirely possible that they change the course of history simply by changing the wind. As a result, as the Christian fleet was driven into battle, they did not have to pull against the wind. Muslim chroniclers of the battle also reported seeing in the sky a lady dressed in armor holding a child and with a terrible gaze. Terrified at the sight, the Turks began to lose control of the fleet and the Christians pressed the attack. Thus, it was that on October 7, 1571, the Christian fleet was blessed with a miraculous victory. Pope Pius V immediately credited the victory to the Blessed Virgin Mary. For some, the angels are inconceivable, and for others, their presence is taken for granted. But viewed in the light of Scripture, we find that the angels were created not only by God, but also for Him. St. Paul mentions this in Colossians chapter 1, verse 16. In Him were all things created in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominations or principalities or powers. All things were created by Him and in Him. As we piece together our puzzle about the angels, it's evident the angels exist and their presence on earth and in the heavens is clear. There is so much more to discover about them. Join me next time as I expose the mysteries of the next choir up, the Dominations.